Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and I'm hanging out with Mr. Robert Thomas Morphy II.
You better fucking believe you are.
New year, dude.
Yeah.
This is it.
Oh my gosh.
2023.
It is.
This is our year.
Well, yeah.
I mean, our buddy Chris is not back yet, but he will be back eventually.
Yes, he will.
But this is still our year.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, I say that with, obviously,
Some trepidation.
a little bit.
Some knocking of wood.
Yeah, a little.
Some realizing that you might have just jinxed us and the universe might conspire against us from this moment forward. Yeah, no, we understand all of that. And yet still, I like not just the confidence. Let's call it hubris.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's arrogance. You're just saying, fuck yeah, this is it. Deal with it.
And then when do we hit the denouement? Is that what the next pandemic that happens?
No. That happens right before the end. We're not near there yet.
Is World War III the denouement?
Well, it will be for the world.
Oh, yeah. Is World War III the denouement?
Yeah, once World War III is announced, from that moment until the last is the denouement.
Perfect.
Except for the survivors.
So actually, we with the new year, we have a couple of adjustments here. The Patreon shout-outs, we're going to be shuffling to the back of the show. Because why not? Yeah, you know.
So we can jump into the story
we can get things done a little bit quicker. Have maybe a little more time in the beginning to bullshit. But speaking of bullshitting here, we've been doing this for quite a long time, Rob.
So it seems.
Yeah, so...
How many years would that be, Mark?
Well, our very first episode that we started with this podcast, that's episode 1, The Loveland Frogmen, was put out January 5th, 2018.
Nuts.
Now, this comes out Monday, January 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
This is officially our birthday.
This year being?
This is,
the year of our Lord, 2023?
Yeah. This is, well, I mean, every year is our pod birthday, but this is like our pod birthday.
Well, it's a half decade.
Yeah.
Buy some marker.
Yeah,
We've been doing it.
I'm so dumb. I'm like, how long we've been doing this for? And I couldn't figure it out.
It's challenging, you know? We're not here to add.
It took me a second, and I'm like, oh yeah, five years.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, you got to get to the end of the year for it to be 5 years completely, and then it was a whole thing.
All you got to do,
you count zero.
Whatever one it is, count to the next.
Is it a number? Is it a thing? So yeah, I mean, it's fucking awesome. I guess it's our podiversary. So thank you all.
Yeah, it is.
For sticking with us for this long of a time. 5 years is crazy.
I mean, if you've been here since the beginning, God bless you. And if you hopped on anywhere along the way, stuck with us, and maybe even listened to the backlog, then God bless you as well.
Yeah.
Because this is great. It's a great family that we've kind of just had grown up around us. All you guys are amazing. Everyone we've been in contact with, almost to a person, has been fucking astonishingly cool.
No.
And it's just been one of the greatest, if not, I mean, certainly the greatest professional / because it's not totally, it's hanging out with my buddies and hanging out with our extended buddies that are out there. So social professional event of my life.
Yeah, no, it's been super cool. And you know, those that don't like us, they leave the review.
They do.
But if you want to be super cool and you want to give your boys a little gift for their podiversary, you can head over to the iTunes and you can drop us a review, or you can go on Spotify and leave us some stars. And that'd be great, because I'm not sure if those things count anymore, but we like seeing positive reviews from y'all, and it means a lot to us. It means a lot to us.
It's good for the ego.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
So this week, Robert, this is a big one.
One of my all-time favorites, period, full stop.
Now, I know there's been a recent documentary that came out about this.
Very recently, and that's one of the reasons we haven't done this yet.
Yeah.
I mean, a few years ago, I didn't know about this documentary coming out. But I was getting ready to do this earlier in the year, 2022, and then all of a sudden I realized James Fox, the filmmaker that brought us like recently Phenomena, and Out of the Blue, and lots of really interesting things, you know, in the new millennium, was going to do a documentary on, I'll let you just read the title.
The Varginha Incident.
So yes.
Did I say it correctly?
You did. It is Varginha.
Varginha.
I know we want to go like Varginha.
Varginha.
We want to totally American
Varginha
it up.
Incident Part 1.
Not only read volumes on it where you can't hear things pronounced, but watched scads of documentaries. And a lot of them came out like right after this event. Mm-hmm. But again, what we're talking about now is it's called Moment of Contact, and it came out.
That's what it is. Yeah,
very recently, because I've been watching for this for a while. Mm-hmm. And also on a side note, I'm not going to digress too much. The Ariel School documentary also came out. I noticed on Amazon Prime. Yeah, haven't watched that yet. Obviously, we did that a while ago. Yep. But the reason I waited when I was going to do this some months ago was because I'm like, sure shit, he's going to, he's going down there. He's going to talk to eyewitnesses. There's going to be new information, and indeed there was. Cool. And a lot of things were kind of put together that I didn't quite get a fuller picture of based on the earlier documentaries I'd watched and all of the resources we had. I can't swear it's completely true, because who the fuck knows in any of these cases, but it does help make a more solid picture. So I'm glad I waited. Anyone who is interested in the Varginha incident, watch that. and watch a couple of other documentaries we'll be mentioning that are on YouTube as of at least right this second. But all that having been said, this is one of the greatest alien encounters, I think, on the books. What to me, the Oran Pendek is the cryptozoology, and that is probably the most likely creature to exist, to be discovered within our lifetime. I think this is the most significant human alien close encounter of the third kind, I guess you'd call it, maybe in history, certainly in our lifetimes. And it's really always been one of my favorites, right up there with like Hopkinsville and Casablanca and other ones.
I have not seen any of the documentaries, but I know a little bit about the case, so I'm going to definitely check that documentary out before we do part 2. But we're getting started with the Varginha incident part 1, Crash and Burn.
Hell yeah. Pedal to the metal, baby.
In the mid-1990s, the small industrial town of Varginha, Brazil, was plagued by an array of unnerving occurrences, beginning with the fiery crash of a UFO and resulting in multiple sightings of small, oily, red-eyed entities whose reign of terror has to be considered one of the most significant events in South American ufology. An incident that has come to be known the world over as Brazil's Roswell.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, shit, we're doing the Bobby. All right, man, let's dig in.
In much the same way, one might refer to Ogopogo as Canada's Loch Ness Monster, or the Yowie as Australia's Bigfoot. We all know that the use of the phrase Brazil's Roswell is journalistic shorthand for a significant incident allegedly involving extraterrestrial visitors in Brazil. While this nomenclature is often overused and frankly lazy, let's be honest, in this case, the description is apt as both the Roswell and the Varginha cases involve unidentified and ostensibly alien aircraft crash landing on Earth, extraterrestrial biological entities being recovered, multiple eyewitnesses, including those on the UFO recovery team, medicos, and soldiers who all had to contend with unknown beings both living and dead, threats being leveled at said witnesses, and word of the unusual event spreading like wildfire throughout the community, only to be subjected to an at least partial media blackout, and eventually, as always seems to happen in cases such as this, official denial. Another analogous theme is that this case seems to get stronger over time, and that decades after the fact, investigators, both domestic and international, are still in pursuit of the truth of what has been called Brazil's closest kept state secret.
We're not talking about some down-to-weather balloon in Roswell.
No.
Oh, no.
We're not talking about like mannequins that I guess take a beating and keep on bleeding. Sheep mannequins, clearly, based on that rhyme. Or whatever dumb shit. Now, I've said before, and I guess I'll stick with this, I'm not going to digress too much, that I get a little sick of Roswell. It's just been beaten and beaten and beaten, and it's so popular. But unlike Gray's, that I'm really balls to the wall sick of,
right,
at least the Roswell incident, I think, has merit.
Okay.
I think there's really interesting things that happen. I'm on the fence sometimes. Right. I mean, what really threw me off is the tape that was used that looked exactly like the hieroglyphics that the son that was, I wish I could remember his name, but he's the son of one of the soldiers that showed him like this little girder with like purple hieroglyphics, and somebody pulled out this Scotch tape from the 40s. It was like, no, they use this to hold this shit together. I'm like, fudge.
It's a goddamn Scotch tape always gets you.
But I'm not going to let Scotch tape be like the antidote for the reality of Roswell's alien, interactions with humans.
Listen, this is 2023. We're not going to get duped by Scotch tape, Robert.
Never again.
Continue.
So anyway, Roswell maybe will have it today on this pod, but right now we're in Varginha.
That's right.
The two key differences that separate these epic events and elevate the Varginha incident from merely being Brazil's Roswell to a case that is every bit as significant in its own right and ultimately much more terrifying is, firstly, no one in Roswell was known to have died as a result of contact with the ETs in question. And secondly, there are very few who suspect that the aliens who landed in New Mexico are still hiding somewhere in the desert. The same cannot be said for the outskirts of Varginha. So they're there, and they're waiting for you, and they love you.
They're coming for you,
and they're probably going to take your wife.
Yes.
The astounding...
I mean, no, I love my wife.
Yeah,
Jesus.
of course. Nick's the best.
Oh, Nick's my fucking sidekick, yo. Don't take her.
They're not. They're really not very sexual, I don't think. I mean, I don't know. That really is based on nothing. But based on what they do, they don't seem like they're like down to fuck.
All right, thank God. I can't lose her to an alien.
Wow.
I almost lost her to a fucking airplane pilot years ago.
Well, in all fairness, she dated him years before she met you.
I still almost
So
lost
you were
her.
safe.
I almost lost her.
I know. I could never date someone that dated a pilot because I'd be like, how can I? Literally, how can I?
I mean,
I can't live up to this.
No, he's a fucking pilot.
I can't control a machine that goes in the air.
He's technically a hero. He's a hero.
Okay. All right. The astounding series of events that have gone down in history as the Varginha incident began not, as many believe, on the 19th of January, 1996, but nearly a week earlier on the 13th, when one of Brazil's 4 main air traffic control centers, or SINDACTAs, which, and of course I'm going to mangle it, I always say it, my Portuguese, I always say I'm mangling languages, is what I do. Centro Integrado de Defensa Aérea e Controle de Tráfego Aéreo, or Integrated Air Traffic Control and Air Defense Center.
Okay, I mean, it sounds way cooler in Portuguese.
Yeah, it does.
It sounds fucking...
The SINDACTAs.
It sounds sexy
Everything
in
sounds
Portuguese.
sexier in Portuguese.
Oh, man.
Carnival, Brazil,
yeah,
Rio.
Dude.
Come on.
Fuck. All right, it's too early in the episode for a boner, but let's do it.
So the SINDACTAs were contacted by their American counterparts at the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, with a dismaying message. Evidently, the Skywatchers, who help protect the air sovereignty of the U.S. and Canada from the nearly impregnable Cheyenne Mountain Complex in Colorado, discovered that a large, unidentified object, apparently under intelligent control, had come in from space and looked as if it was about to make a crash landing somewhere in Brazil. The late great physicist cum ufologist Stanton Friedman, R.I.P.,
Oh, shit. What up, Stanton Friedman?
posed these questions about this situation in a documentary that aired on the Learning Channel in the late 90s titled, perhaps oversimply, E.T. Encounter.
You got to work on the title, guys.
Yeah, you can't find this shit on the IMDb.
No.
There's an awful lot of sophisticated equipment up there, Stanton says, looking for re-entry of an American satellite or of a Russian satellite or a flying saucer. So do we know it was coming down? Was word sent to the Brazilian Air Force? What's the involvement of the American government? Brazilians don't have a lot of spy satellites up there, but the American and Russian governments do. So there is a larger picture here, end quote. This is intriguing because although Brazil and the United States have had an amicable relationship for decades, and I hope you're all ready for a brief stroll through recent Brazilian history, in the early 80s, tension regarding unfair trade practices were exacerbated when then Brazilian President Jose Sarney took office in 1985 and began exporting arms to Libya and Iran. It's going to be a point of tension.
Okay.
To add to this, Brazil's refusal to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty caused the United States to put it on its mandated blacklist, thereby restricting Brazil's access to certain U.S. technologies. In March of 1990, President Fernando Collor de Mello tried to ease tensions with the United States in order to help insert Brazil into the world economy, but then, between 1994 and 1998, the administration of acting President Fernando Henrique Cardoso reacted coolly to proposals by the Clinton administration for a Latin American free trade zone, once again putting relations on the back foot. But of course, none of that would have mattered in light of this situation. U.S. satellites had detected a large, non-natural, nice going, Rob, non-natural object coming from space and heading toward what was a de facto ally. While the Red Dawn Rocky IV watching kid in me wants to think the warning came from the goodness of the heart of the American government, I, and Stanton Friedman, I might add, agree that it's likely whatever clandestine cabals in charge of the secret U.S. UFO recovery and retrieval operations sensed in this case a golden opportunity. They knew that there was little chance of arriving at the scene before the Brazilian military, not to mention the awkwardness of being caught without permission conducting an operation on another country's sovereign soil. So it seems it was decided by the powers that be to give a heads up to our South American allies and in the process negotiate a deal. But more on that in a little bit.
Oh, shit. This has got fucking X-Files real quick. All right.
Aficionados of the Fortean are well aware of the fact that Brazil is a hotbed of paranormal events, with a particular emphasis on evidently extraterrestrial interactions. And true to form, there had been a UFO flap in the southern, nearly coastal state of Minas Gerais, which I think Of course, again, I apologize for mispronouncing it, but I'm sure we've been here before in another podcast.
Probably.
I think Belo Horizonte, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Wherein Varginha is located since at least April of that year. But far and away, the most harrowing events associated with this flap began at approximately 1 a.m. when one Orlena de Freitas was awakened by the sounds of panicked livestock, particularly her cows, who she heard making frightened noises and stampeding around the small home she shared with her husband Eurico on Castillo Farms just outside of Varginha. Afraid there might be a prowler or predator outside, Orlena glanced through her window. In the same documentary that I mentioned above, Orlena said, quote, "It was around 1 o'clock in the morning, and we saw an object flying over with a lot of smoke coming from it. So I called my husband over, and we both looked at it," end quote. Immediately, the pair went to the window to see what was going on. When they looked outside, they were astonished by the sight before them. A low-flying metallic cigar-shaped craft was silently soaring not far above their home at an alarmingly low rate of speed. Eurico described the moment, quote, "I started to ask what this was. Some kind of submarine flying over? It was long, and on its rear there seemed to be bits flying behind it like when you tie ribbons to a fan. It was the size of a minibus with lots of smoke that was light-colored, almost transparent. I have never seen anything like it in my life."
Dude,
quote.
I love getting the cigar-shaped crafts.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
my
they're
favorite.
best.
I love them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
They're
saucer.
phallic. Come on.
I mean, dude.
I mean, saucers are dope, too. They're
Yeah,
classic.
but dude, it's hack.
But
It's
fuck a
hack.
spear.
I want to see
All
a
right, it is
dope
cliched.
cigar. I want to see a dope cigar-shaped UFO.
Yeah.
Just like the fuck.
Like the Alderney cigars that were like a mile long and
Yeah.
bright yellow.
Dude, it's a flying submarine.
Indeed.
There you go.
The couple then watched as the smoke-billowing object zigzagged around their home, coming as low as 5 feet off the ground before disappearing in the distance.
Oh, man.
For fear of ridicule, the de Freitas did not report their sighting until days later when heaping handfuls of the proverbial shit began hitting the fan in nearby Varginha.
Oh, no.
But again, that's foreshadowing.
Oh, no. This is how it starts.
At approximately the same time as the de Freitas were watching the clearly damaged UFO, a man by the name of Carlos de Souza was making the long drive from Sao Paulo to Minas Gerais in order to meet up with some friends who he planned to fly ultralight planes with. These plans would never come to fruition, as fate had decreed that Carlos was destined to come into contact with an entirely different kind of aircraft, and his fun outing with friends would be replaced by a horrifying experience he would never forget.
Why don't we go and fly ultralight planes?
Well, first off, my fat ass in an ultralight plane, I
We
mean,
can do
there's
it.
physics involved.
No.
I like those little ones that are basically like go-karts, and you
Yeah.
like pull up the
We should do
string like a
that.
lawnmower.
We should do that. It'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe someday.
All right.
Maybe.
I
mean, we need to get some sort of license, I think.
No, you
At
don't.
least you need training.
No, you're fine.
Well, how do you land? You got to know how to fucking
The
land.
Wright brothers did it, dude.
Yeah, like,
Amelia Earhart.
okay, bad example. R.I.P. too fucking soon.
Fuck, dude, Sully. There you go.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
We can do this.
He can fight a seagull any day.
We fucking got this.
All right, terrifying experience. Never forget.
Gotcha.
According to a videotaped interview that Carlos gave to the distinguished and sadly now deceased Brazilian ufologist Claudier Covo, what a great name, which was unearthed by documentarian James Fox for his 2022 documentary Moment of Contact, which we spoke about earlier, Carlos tells Claudier that while he was driving, he caught sight of what at first he thought to be an airplane in trouble. Like Orlena and Eurico before him, he described a small, bus-sized, cylindrical, metallic object that was spewing a massive amount of white smoke, which struck him as odd because he assumed it would be black smoke if the thing were on fire. So I don't know, maybe vapor, maybe a different kind of fire, maybe atomic space fire. I don't know what smoke is supposed to look like, really. I've seen a few house fires. It seems black, but I don't know. But anyway, that's what he thought.
I guess depending on whatever's burning is going to determine the smoke.
Right. But in addition to seeing what the de Freitas had seen, Carlos added the detail that there was a huge tear in the back end of the craft's hull from which the smoke was billowing.
Oh, they hit a fucking satellite.
So it's got like a big metallic rip,
Yeah. Big shred.
Yeah.
Ugh, not good.
Carlos also noted that it was traveling far too slowly to be a conventional aircraft. And when he suddenly watched it make a 360-degree turn and began shaking like a quote-unquote broken washing machine,
When the alien tech shits the bed.
It was at that point that he assumed the silent engine of the craft had died because it dramatically lost altitude. Despite the fact that he could not identify the vessel, Carlos knew that whomever was aboard was going to need help, and he immediately began following the UFO's descending trajectory. Carlos began flying down unpaved back roads in the rural backwaters surrounding Varginha and was stunned to see the cigar hit the ground and slide down the hill with a dull puff. That was the sound he made.
Nice.
But the way he described it, this is just me digressing here. It seems like a little, like it hit and it crashed, but not a full speed crash. Is it like some of its anti-grav was working?
Right.
It's difficult to tell.
I mean, if it was crashing, they brought it in kind of slow.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like you kind of bring her back, like bring the nose up a little bit,
exactly,
get a little, and then just kind of.
So maybe not at full speed.
Okay. Well, that's smart. Smart piloting on their part.
Right.
Yeah.
The object had come to rest not far from a copse of trees and a small white rustic farmhouse, which he was later informed was the Maiolini farm. Carlos sped up and parked at the top of the hill, dumbfounded by the sight before him. The first thing that hit him was the foul stench that permeated the air, a dank combination of ammonia and rotten eggs that immediately made his eyes water and forced him to use the collar of his t-shirt as a makeshift mask.
We got alien space farts.
Space parts.
Oh, gross.
He later explained to James Fox and his film crew that the craft had broken in the middle and the hill was now covered with hunks of shiny, thin, aluminum-like debris. While there were some fires, the observer noted that the path the vessel took during the soft crash was not the only disturbed ground. It was surrounded by a nearly 120-foot circular patch of burnt grass, which Carlos believed was not an impact burn, but a chemical burn, as if an acid-like substance had been released from the downed ship and had spread evenly across the area.
Interesting.
So that's fucked up.
Well, depending on however this thing is mechanically engineered and whatnot, if there is some sort of gas in it, and when it hits, the gas escapes and just.
I mean, clearly it was damaged already.
Yeah.
So when it hits, it's going to become more damaged.
Right.
Shit's going to fall out.
Yep.
So
interesting.
In a moment extremely reminiscent of the Roswell event, Carlos claimed that he picked up a piece of debris and marveled at how light it was. He then managed to crumple the piece with his bare hands, but when he dropped it to the ground, the crushed metal simply unfurled, regaining its original shape within seconds.
Oh, it's like a T-1000?
Totally.
Cool.
And absolutely like descriptions of metal that were found at the, the Brazel site, the Roswell crash.
Metamaterial.
Yeah, exactly.
That shit's got to be loaded with cancer, though.
It's gotta think about that.
It's gotta be low. So much cancer in that.
Oh boy, don't lick it.
No, it's like mercury. Like, don't fucking touch it.
Yeah,
just leave it. If the shit comes from the sky, folks, good rule number one: don't touch it.
Mark doesn't know much about this case. Those who do are going to get what I'm saying. The rest of you, it's foreshadowing. This whole case is a case study in if it comes from the fucking sky, don't fucking touch it.
Okay, cool.
Do not touch it.
All
See
right.
it? Don't touch it. Don't even look at it.
No.
Don't smell near it. Don't run.
Perfect.
Run right now.
All right. There you go. Foreshadowing. And I didn't even know about it. Cool.
I know. But so you're predictive. It's your psychic powers working.
Dude,
Yeah.
fucking, there it is.
Just as he was descending the hill to look for any potential survivors, Carlos was startled by a pair of headlights that came barreling over the crest of the hill, coming from the opposite direction from where he had arrived. This was followed by a small convoy of what he immediately recognized to be military trucks and jeeps. Usually the French save that just for werewolf attacks.
I know, but I mean, at least if this happens, you're like, oh, thank God the military's here.
Yeah.
God, this is way above my pay grade.
Within moments, armed soldiers piled out of the vehicles and began making their way down the incline, forming a perimeter around the area. One of the military men made a beeline for Carlos. He began pushing the would-be Good Samaritan away from the wreckage, commanding him to leave the scene. At first, the young pilot protested, but when the insistent soldier leveled the barrel of his rifle at him, Carlos realized that it would be in his best interest to do as he was told.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still nauseous from the stench, Carlos climbed into his vehicle and swiftly left the scene. He would not return for over a quarter of a century when he was accompanied by James Fox and company, But it wasn't merely his experience at the Maiolini farm, whose owners, one must assume, were either not at home or fucking hiding in terror. I don't know.
They're like, oh man,
or maybe
what's going on,
it was just
man?
a weird white shack and their like house was like, their estate was like a mile away. I don't know.
They're probably in there just freaking out like, oh dude,
just
what the fuck? Sucks, man.
Who farted? But again, it wasn't just his experience there that kept him away. It was a run-in that he would have not long after he was interviewed by Claudia Covo that would chill him to his bones. An encounter that was, by definition, with the Men in Black.
Oh, is this the Brazilian/Portuguese version of the Men in Black?
Sort of, but they're pretty standard. They speak Portuguese.
Okay, I like that. It's cool.
According to Carlos, he had stopped at a gas station to get a cup of coffee to calm his nerves and help him ponder what he'd experienced. So apparently this just kept rifling through his head.
Gotcha. It will.
It would. I mean, military, down craft, you know what the fuck's going on. Yeah. He had just purchased this beverage when he was suddenly confronted by a pair of tall men wearing crisp black suits. One of the strangers asked if he was Carlos de Souza. But before Carlos could respond, the man continued telling him the name of his wife and daughter and other salient and private facts about his life.
Oh, this is fun. Yeah,
no, this is sip and go.
Yeah, trying to get a cup of coffee and got this fucking jerk off coming up. He's like, "Yep, no, we know all about Megan."
It's like, hey, are you Mark? Is Nicole your wife? Yeah. How's Charlie?
How about Evelyn?
She touched some poop at work.
How about your little dog Leo? What's he up to? Is he still being an asshole and barking at you every minute? Okay,
too much
cool.
goddamn information.
Exactly.
They shouldn't know.
Too much.
They should not.
Not good.
So, perplexed and more than a little afraid, Carlos asked him who they were and how he knew these things. The man in black ignored the question, and in what Carlos declared was a clear and precise tone, he offered a strange and intimidating warning, quote, "Look, you didn't see anything. You shut up. Go away. If someone asks, you didn't see anything. If not," at this point the man offered a series of sinister pauses, "things are going to get very weird for you."
Oh no.
That's almost worse than like threatening violence.
Yeah. At least if he had a gun, you're like, I get it. You're like, weird how?
Yeah.
Like, what's gonna happen?
Because that's like, am I like gonna slowly lose my mind? Is shit's gonna get a little flaky?
A weird sexual encounter, perhaps?
I wouldn't know if that would be like in the forefront of my mind. But yeah, that's a possibility.
It'll ruin your marriage.
Yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
So it's just a weird threat.
Oh man.
Like shit's about to get weird.
Okay.
Not like we can throw you in the desert and no one's gonna find you.
Right.
Just the jungles are deep, fucker. Nope. Just
oh man,
it's gonna get fucking.
I mean, the
gonzo.
rainforest. Yeah. Well, there you go. Shit. All right. Well, fuck.
With that, the MIBs turned around, walked out of the gas station, and climbed into a jet black Chevy Opala, which I have learned is a Brazilian executive car sold in South America between 1969 and 1992. I don't know what year this car was, but hey.
Okay.
It also had a weird bluish patina and did not have license plates. The Opala drove out of sight, and the men who occupied it were never seen by Carlos again. But the incident so frightened the witness that it was decades before he would speak to any of the literally hundreds of investigators that tried to track him down for a follow-up interview. In fact, when he did return to the scene with James Fox, he was moved to tears due to the horror and paranoia he had suffered since he attempted to help whomever was inside that vehicle all those years ago.
Oh, man.
At about the same time as E.T. Encounter, that's the name of the documentary from TLC, another documentary about the incident titled Brazilian UFO Crash, The Truth, aired on the Sci-Fi Channel. This report included eyewitness testimony from an English-speaking attorney who, based on her accent, seems to be of North American extraction, who claimed to have seen what she believes was the same UFO crash. This is kind of intriguing.
That's weird.
Quote, "I was about 20 minutes from the center of Varginha, right on the edge of the hills and forests which circles the town. It was about 2 a.m., and I was asleep when I heard a huge explosion coming from outside. It sounded like a bomb. Bizarre, a huge explosion, and when I looked out the window, I could see this huge mass of fire and smoke coming from the hillside about 1 commuter from my house. I am not familiar with that unit of measurement."
Yeah, what's a commuter?
Don't know.
Someone's going to tell us and they're going to be like, you guys are assholes.
Sure.
So, I mean, you know what? Save your emails, save your DMs.
Because we know.
And let us be assholes. Thank you. I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
I'm saving your time.
You know how many commuters we came to get here?
Yeah, exactly.
To do this for you in the cold, the icy upstate New York cold?
Exactly. It's freezing here, people. It's freezing.
All right, she continues. I really had no idea what had happened, but obviously it was bad. So I called the fire department immediately in Varginha, but there was no answer, which I thought was strange. It is odd.
That's weird.
But within a few minutes, I could hear their sirens, so I guess someone had already let them know. Just a few minutes later, I could see like 3 army trucks speeding up the dirt track which leads toward where the explosions were, and a helicopter. I remember thinking, why were the army there, and how did they get to this thing so fast? It only happened less than 5 or 6 minutes ago. I kept watching as the fire department and the army units went right to where the explosion was, but it was way too far for me to see any detail. I started thinking that maybe a military plane or a helicopter crashed. That was the explosion I had heard, but I still have no idea what had happened. I remember that the police and fire department filled out the whole area, end quote.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. Intriguingly, this anonymous eyewitness added, quote, it was only later in the day when I heard the news about the alien thing, creatures in town, and I realized that that was probably the crash site. That's when it all started making sense. I mean, I couldn't see much, just fire and smoke and stuff, but something crashed out there. I can 100% confirm that. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Is it possible that the attorney who was so rudely awakened was witness to the events that had transpired after Carlos de Souza was chased from the scene? Carlos did not describe much in the way of flaming wreckage, a few, fires here and there maybe.
Right.
But that doesn't mean there wasn't an explosion after the crash when some flammable substance contacted the flames.
Because he didn't even mention like firefighters or anything, just being held at gunpoint by the military.
True, but, and I'm going to explain this in a second, at that point, and maybe at all points, I'm not like an expert on Brazilian history, the police and the fire department are a part of military. They're all branches of the military.
Oh, okay, cool.
So maybe it would look kind of the same.
Okay.
But he doesn't, you're right, he doesn't describe fire trucks.
Yeah.
So this is why I think, it might be that this is stuff that, because he was there when it first happened and he was immediately chased away. So maybe the army gets there first.
Yeah.
Then the fire trucks arrive in the helicopter.
That would make sense. Because I mean, the military is one thing, but if you see like the police and the fire and the helicopter, you're going to be like, oh shit. It's going down.
It is going down.
Like we got the military and all this other heavy equipment here. Okay, well,
and the explosion that woke her may have been again 10 minutes, 7 minutes later. Maybe
it wasn't.
Maybe my so-called soft crash theory still resulted in an explosion, but obviously Carlos did not hear it puffed.
Right.
Puffed. Okay. Something gentle. Maybe the pop happened later. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe not.
I'll buy it.
I'm going to continue here with thoughts on this. Another curious aspect of the testimony is that the observer mentions hearing about aliens the following day. While it is true that locals began seeing strange things almost immediately, it would not be until a week later, on January 20th, that news of these things would become widespread due to events that occurred that afternoon. Was the lawyer referring to rural rumors, or could there have been a second crash closer to the 20th? It seems unlikely given the dearth of such reports, but it's worth bearing in mind that most of the earliest reports filtering out of the Varginha incident claimed that the events began on the 19th with a crash, not the 13th, as both the De Freitas, the couple, sorry, I'm fucking up the plural, and De Souza claimed, and was revealed in the 2022 Moment of Contact documentary.
Okay, so there's a couple of points that kind of have to be mishmashed there, but
so
I
all
get
the original reports on the internet, documentary, whatever, were the 19th. NORAD calls the Brazilian Air Force, whatever that acronym was, tells them something's about to land. You got to be on the lookout. And then the next day, batshit crazy stuff happens. There's a crash, and then the next day, batshit crazy.
Okay.
In this, three of the main eyewitnesses are insistent that it was on the 13th.
Huh. Okay.
And in this, I mean the latest documentary.
Right.
So
that's an interesting little.
It is interesting. So, I mean, was there a second crash on the 19th?
Right.
But no one talks about 2 crashes, and a lot of the documentary specifically were interviewing the De Freitas and saying it happened on the 19th. So I think they're just getting it fucked up.
They could just be, I mean, I don't even know. Today's a Tuesday, then when we're recording this, I have no idea of time.
That's true.
And I don't even know where I am. I mean, I do. I'm in your sister's basement in our studio with you recording a podcast. But like, if you're like, oh yeah, you know what happened on last Wednesday? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm busy. I got shit going on. Like, whatever. Holidays aside, I'm busy. People get dates fucking screwed up
all the time.
We're not going to crucify anybody for that.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
In the aforementioned sci-fi doc, journalist, media commentator, and former civil servant Nick Pope, whose claim to fame is that he was in charge of the British government's UFO project during the 90s, which is nothing to sneeze at, decided, even after admitting on the same program that UFOs were clearly visiting Earth, to wear his skeptic's hat when he gave an alternate explanation for what might have taken place at the alleged crash site. Quote, "Clearly something unusual happened, but there are a number of alternatives which do first need to be explored. One possibility is that we need to look at the likelihood that we had some sort of satellite reentry. Space debris coming into Earth's atmosphere at high level. Clearly, we do have some indication that NORAD passed a warning to the Brazilian national authorities that there was indeed some high-level event taking place. So that is the first thing that I think UFO researchers and others need to consider here, is that any time you have accounts, particularly if they are sightings late at night, of bright light seen very close to the ground, a lot of activity going on, what you may be dealing with is the military carrying out some sort of night maneuvers. Now, you can have military trucks, obviously brightly illuminated with headlights and all sorts of other freestanding lights. For example, you could even have a low-flying helicopter actually hovering very close to the ground, or actually indeed on the ground, and in some meteorological conditions, and I'm talking about wind here, you need not necessarily hear a great deal of noise until you get very close to it." End quote. So, again,
I mean, all right, he's not... okay.
All of Nick's explanations would be valid if the only eyewitness were the woman who saw the events at a considerable distance. Of course, he'd have to add fire, but he could just say it was a fire thing.
Right.
But when you take Carlos's much closer observations into consideration, combined with the corroboration of Aurelina and Eurico de Freitas, it becomes much more difficult to believe that what occurred was merely a grossly misidentified but wholly mundane military fire brigade or army training session or maneuver. It's just either they're lying or they're not. If what Carlos says is true, and Carlos is really the only other on-scene eyewitness, then it cannot possibly be just military maneuvers.
Yeah, no, that's...
But I guess that doesn't mean, going back to the thought that perhaps the attorney saw what she saw on the 19th,
right? Oh, okay,
that maybe she was witness to just a fire.
Right.
But again, and I don't know all the fires that took place near Varginha in 1996, but I would think that something that happened that close to such a significant event
would be
like
noted.
An event that is celebrated in that town. They've got like a flying saucer water cooler. They got all sorts of
sweet,
not water cooler. Jesus Christ, water tower. Tower.
I thought maybe
it's like a statue. It's about 20 feet off the ground. They have statues of the aliens. It's crazy.
Man. Yeah, no, that's all right. Wow.
So they love this shit.
Okay.
And Brazilians do love it. And I love that about them.
Totally.
But in the research I've done, no one else mentions a military crash, an extreme fire just outside of town, or an explosion, which I would think would be a big deal. So either this part's a hoax, there was another wholly different event happening that just somehow everyone realized that was there. It wasn't part of it, so they never mentioned it because they got that, it was the old refinery or whatever. Or this happened on the same night and the dates got confused and the explosion happened after Carlos left. It's a lot of shit.
I mean, having conflicting information, you kind of got to start doing one of the cork boards with the yarn. And
Red yarn for days.
Exactly. So, but, it's good to kind of put that out there. I feel like we're detectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we're definitely, we're following in the shoes of the people that actually did the detecting, but that's part of the way.
We're just regurgitating it.
That's the way of the West, man. We're a podcast.
Can I be Robin?
Sure.
All right, cool.
Why not?
All right, sweet.
Fucking adjust your balls, dude. They're hanging out of the tights. Whatever the case may be, according to rumors filtering out of nearby Asa Army Base, a military enclave dedicated to the training of officers, the soldiers who had chased Carlos away from the Mayolini farm were made up of both Army recruits and military firemen. In Brazil, as I mentioned earlier, both police and the fire brigade are all part of the military, who, much like in the case of the American soldiers on William W. Mac Brazel's ranch in July of 1947, managed to collect and transport all of the UFO debris from the crash site, after which it was allegedly shipped to Asa Base for temporary storage. We don't know if it's true or not, but that was what all the investigators heard, and some of them claimed to hear it from firsthand sources.
Okay, cool.
So we just got to take it with what it is. As to whether or not any occupants were found at the scene, there is painfully little info. But within days of the crash, reports began filtering in from startled locals, outside of Varginha that is, regarding strange creatures moving in and out of the woods in sparsely populated areas. And in just a week's time, there would be bizarre beings roaming into the city proper that were identified even by local doctors, and all of these quotes come from doctors apparently, as anything from aliens to monstrous genetic mutations to a homeless dwarf couple. That's a fucking quote.
Jesus
and we're going to deal with that.
Christ.
We're going to deal with that next week.
Okay.
To the devil
The
himself.
fucking devil
Who
showed
shan't be
up?
taken off the table, sir.
Oh, man, the devil showed up. All right,
It might be Varginha right on the table. Who knows?
all right. Well, there you go. That's a lot. All right, I'm excited to hear about these fucking things.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
During the course of a single day, these small, sebaceous, horned, crimson-eyed, undeniably enigmatic entities would be involved in multiple, oftentimes utterly terrifying interactions with numerous eyewitnesses that would not only lead to a military occupation of the city, but nearly a full-scale panic by the citizens of Varginha. But that, sweet, sweet listeners, is a story we're saving for next week.
Oh, the setup of just the crash.
Just a crash. Crash and burn, baby.
Crash and burn.
The title
There it
didn't
is.
lie.
We know we did not lead you on with that, but yes, come back next week for part 2 of the Varginha incident. It will not be crash and burn. It will be fucking sneak and peek.
Sneak and peek.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably won't be, but I like it.
What's kind of cool about this, though, as far as the whole, like, okay, the incident happens and you kind of, what I think is kind of is it kicks off with NORAD contacting
That's the most exciting
Brazil.
because it's like an 80s studio summer blockbuster.
So it makes me think, like, okay, if it is space debris, right? I'm not a very smart person when it comes to these type of things, but I'm assuming, like, if it's satellite or some kind of space debris, like if it's some of our tech up there
Sure.
that comes through, doesn't that shit burn up in the atmosphere?
Most of it does. But you got to remember, you were probably too young to remember Skylab. I was too young to remember Skylab.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
I remember vague notions of people kind of like talking about looking up and like, and like, I think I saw it after the fact, but like Johnny Carson making jokes about this fucking space. I don't think it was a station, but like whatever, a super satellite or whatever,
Right.
about to come plummeting down. It ended up doing so, I think, in a non-populated area.
Okay.
Not an expert on Skylab, but I do know that there was high paranoia. So space debris, satellites and whatnot, do occasionally hit ground.
Okay.
Not common. Most of it would burn up in the
So
atmosphere.
I wonder, so it could just be NORAD being like, oh shit, some of our satellites went awry. We'll tell Brazil because this is a big fucker and we don't want to be killing anybody. But my conspiratorial mind over here, what I'm thinking, get my tinfoil hat, my fucking triangle fucking suit on, I'm fucking all keyed up, ready to go. If they're like, oh shit, this is an alien craft going down, contact Brazil, and we need to get our forces there immediately and come up with something to be like, guys, because if you think about it, it's almost like a tech race.
Oh my God,
It's
yes.
really what it comes down to.
What could be more of an arms race than extraterrestrial technology that is like thousands, million years ahead of us?
Kind of like with Area 51, where they say like after Area 51, like our shit like advanced light years all of a sudden, where there's capacitors and all kinds of, I don't know if that's
Sure.
a thing or not, but
Though I have to think, I've always thought this is another one of my red flags on Roswell. I guess that's our new fucking thing, red flags lately. But one of my red flags of Roswell is that, you know, LED lighting, fucking, I don't know, like treadmills. Like, it's really basic shit that allegedly integrated circuits, which are cool. But are you telling me, yes, it's a huge leap forward from computers that are the size of a library, but you can't traverse the goddamn cosmos or interdimensional barriers with fucking the level of shit that allegedly came from the crash, according to Corso.
Or
maybe it can, but I just don't think it would be that fun to fucking mental unless it led to these discoveries because all they could figure out was a very narrow part of it.
I think what it is if it is to be believed, is that they looked at the tech, it's super advanced, and they could get little glimpses of it, kind of like Bob Lazar, where they get little glimpses of it, and then they kind of like expound on that.
Yeah.
Although in Lazar's case, it was more like, figure out how to back engineer this fucking thing. Oh, by the way, you're this fucking genius rocket guy making some sweet rocket car. So get in here and figure out how to do this.
I mean, it's totally possible.
Really, all you really need, though, if you think about it, to figure anything out, at least the way that my mind mechanically works, I just need to understand how it starts and how it stops, and I can kind of figure the middle out. I know that sounds bizarre.
I could have a full set of instructions and I would still be clueless. I cannot do that.
If you can gain a little bit of it, you can kind of figure the rest.
Yeah, a little touch of the engineering.
Maybe that's, I tend to break shit a lot, so.
Right.
So, I mean,
but the thing is,
I've burned more than one PLC.
I've seen you fix.
Lifetime.
I've seen you build computers. I've seen you fix mechanical objects. I know you have a skill at it. I know people that are wicked advanced, like hardcore engineers, can do it with the best and most sophisticated equipment. But this is something that it just should be light years well away and beyond our capacities.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not, and I'm willing to buy. Like I don't take Lazar's comments with a grain of salt. As the years have gone by, this is another case that tends to be, I don't know, more something to take more seriously now than maybe even back then.
I personally believe him, but that's don't come at me.
No,
anti-Lazar people, not you.
I'm open
talking
to it.
The internet.
I am open to it. But what I get, and again, I'm no expert on Roswell. I've seen tons of documentaries. Of course, that's all you got in the 90s, really.
Oh my God.
But in the end, it really felt like, and we, discovered oven mitt technology, the kind with the foil that stops it from burning really good. And we found an ottoman. It just doesn't seem like it's all that exciting.
Is that where the bidet came from?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, holy shit.
Look, they cleaned it. They cleaned their parts and they didn't even have to touch it.
Just sit on that thing for 7 minutes every morning and give themselves an enema.
7 minutes of bidet. If this was Patreon, that'd be the name of the pod.
7 minutes of a bidet. It is kind of interesting, though, again, that you had the intergovernmental.
No, that's one of the most
that's really
parts.
Cool.
And that is going to be elaborated on in later parts, because there are, I obviously talked about Stanton Friedman proposing something I agree with, which is that there was probably a lucrative deal. And that's the thing. I know I maybe shouldn't have spent a paragraph talking about the presidents of Brazil and like why we weren't exactly the best of buddies, but it's not like we're just going to shoot in there. It's not like they're like a satellite country. Well, we didn't have satellite. I guess we did. Maybe that's naive of me, but not like, say, the way the Soviet Union did. Right. But it's not like a really tight ally like Canada, where we could just like call up the prime minister and be like, dude, we got to go to the tundra. This is some shit. Our satellite's falling down. Will you let us? Yeah. This is like a country that's a little bit more of an iffy stance with. Right. And so that having been said, warn them, if it is an extraterrestrial object, give them a chance. Let them do their thing. And then throw gobs of fucking money. And then it will be yours in the end.
If we wanted the tech that bad, we could 100% just be like, look, we got a plane full of cash coming over.
Oh yeah.
Like, give us a little bit. And
everyone's corrupt at some point.
Exactly. Which actually is not really corrupt. It's just like, hey, you know what?
Well, depending on how the money was used, but yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're going to use taxpayer funds like Black Ops, or not Black Ops, but like black budget money, it's not really corrupt. You're just like, hey, here's our black budget.
I know what you're saying, though.
Yeah, but you're just going to allocate those funds. Be like, let's pay Brazil a couple of fucking whatever millions and billions or
it's
whatever.
It's 96. Who knows?
And I mean, Brazil's probably not going to be like, no, fuck your money. They'll be like, oh shit, we got a great deal from the Americans.
And again, this is foreshadowing if they get first crack at it.
There you go. Oh yeah, but then we end up getting the fucking.
But then we end up getting it, and then we store it away at
USA,
Pat.
USA,
all right.
USA.
It's not an Olympic year. Take it down. So that part is absolutely fascinating.
Right, yeah, I dig it.
A crash. I mean, I don't know. We must have dealt with a UFO crash, but we haven't really dealt with them too much. And obviously there's Aztec. Roswell is the queen bee of it all. There's many others, and they're always fascinating, but rarely do they result in living specimens.
Yeah, no, normally they're dead.
They're dead.
Yeah.
And this results in multiple living specimens. Right. We don't know exactly how many, but I can say, without giving away too much, at least 2. So
I'm going to assume, I'm going to use my my prognostication. Is that a thing?
That is a real thing.
Prognosticate.
You got vocab 100%.
Into next week that maybe the cigar shaped craft crashed, and then these fucking the occupants were like, we're out. Fuck this.
Yes.
Like, see ya. And they just fucking jet.
Well, I mean,
which is smart.
If you're in a crash about to possibly explode, spewing acidic chemical fucking thing,
Right.
you're going to get the fuck out of Dodge. But there's really interesting theories about what these things may be, what's going on. And that's one of the things that I'm thrilled about.
Okay.
So obviously it's the first part. We're not going to fully break it down. And for anyone that's disappointed that we didn't get to the creatures this week, Mark makes me stop at 6 pages. Nothing I can do.
You blamed my editorial? Wow.
No, in reality, this was the place to stop it.
Yeah.
This was the chapter. Because you really have to deal with the conflicting reports,
right?
The crash. And next week we are going to get into some heavy, EBE bullshit, and it is going to be nuts.
Awesome.
And I love it. And I can't wait to do this. And it might be a 2-parter, might be a 3. I don't know. It depends on how deeply I write it. But I researched the fuck out of this.
I bet you could nail this in 2 parts.
I have 25 pages. I'm not joking, of handwritten notes. I haven't done this much work since the Mothman Odyssey.
Oh no.
So far, my mom hasn't been threatened.
We can't. We cannot kick off 2023 with a Mothman.
No, I'm feeling good, man. I'm a buzz with Varginha love.
Oh, nice. There it is, the Varginha incident, part 1, crash and burn. Thank you all so very much for joining us, Robert. As you mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're going to be doing the Patreon shout-outs at the end.
Yes, we are.
And there we are. So,
Patreon.com/Cryptonaut
podcast. Thank you to everyone that supports us over there. The $1 is the shout-out and the 1 bonus audio. The $5 is the shout-out and the no more than 5 bonus audios. Both of those get you access to the Discord.
Yes, they do.
And this month, there is an event, and I will announce it next week because I don't have it in my notes right now. And it is December 27th when we're recording this, but it's coming out on January 2nd, so I'm still on time.
We've been pretending it's the new year. It's not.
Yeah, no, clearly.
We're still in 2022. You knew that. That was
we're talking to you from the past, and things are still good. We hope that 2023 is going to work out.
I'm confident, but not overconfident like Mark was.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
That wasn't overconfident. That was like, I hope it's going to work out. I know it's going to suck. No, I just hope it doesn't suck as bad.
It's not going to suck. I really don't think it's going to suck.
I don't know, man. We'll see. All right, Robert, shout-outs. Let's do them.
Without the ado-dos.
Okay.
Jason Hackman.
Thank you, Jason.
Travis Tremmel.
What up, Travis?
Emily Dilla. I think no, you know what? Dyla. I'm going with Dyla on this one.
Thank you, Emily.
Let us know, Emily. Thank you. Gerard Young.
Oh, Gerard. I like that. Cool. Thank you, Gerard.
Ryan P.
Hell yeah, Ryan.
Cole Myers.
Thank you, Cole.
Who I may know. If you're the one I know, hey, dude.
I think I know him, too.
If not, hey, dude.
I'm pretty sure I know two different Cole Myers, but I think the other one's spelled different.
Could be.
Okay.
But anyway.
M-E-Y. Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know. Thank you, Cole.
Regardless, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Jessica Murr.
What up, Jessica?
Murr what?
There you go.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, mermaid.
Fishy parts.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jessica Murr.
I'm going to round it out with Brian.
Hell yeah, Brian. Thank you.
Who
thank
pronounces
you all.
it probably Brian. Yeah.
Yep, Brian. Yep. Thank you all for your support. We appreciate that.
God, it helps. It keeps us in books and food and rent. So thank you.
Thank you. And as you mentioned, it does seem weird now that we're doing it at the end because we're so used to doing it at the beginning.
Yeah, it does.
Well,
I feel like you're going to... but it's all right.
Used to it.
We'll launch into it. And you know what? And then we can spend more time savoring your names. Yeah, Gerard. Yeah, I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
buddy.
there you go. Cole,
Emily.
Ryan, yeah, Travis, Jessica, Jason. Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Jay Murr.
Also, too, real quick, we have a very special shout out.
Yes, we do.
Dana Bruce.
All big thanks.
What up, Dana
World
Bruce?
Traveler. Fucking ancient pyramid explorer.
She posted a picture up of wearing the goblin. What the hell is the t-shirt? The river river gnomes.
The river gnomes.
River gnomes. Yeah, she's in front of the pyramids.
Oh, I'm like, come on! I know.
It's so cool.
She's awesome.
God,
anyway,
dude.
I mean, she's
so fucking cool,
wicked.
Dude.
And she sent us an amazing gift as well.
Actually, on the table, it's a part of our shrine. I told her that it's officially a part of the fucking studio shrine here. A little pyramid of power.
We have a pyramid of power.
We do.
From Egypt.
We can
the home of pyramids of power.
We can concentrate our fucking.
We can't. We don't have the mental capacity, but somebody could. And I love looking at it.
I think we have the emotional capacity, though.
Yeah, we do. If this pyramid's going to run on heart power, then it's going to be on overload.
It's all about hearts and hands.
Oh, and loins.
Yeah.
Yeah, and knees.
In winds?
Hearts and hands and loins and knees.
Oh, and loins and knees.
Yeah.
Loins. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Why not? Dude, it all comes down to that.
Ooh, okay.
Dude, you don't go to Serious A without getting some.
Nice. Yeah, so thank you, Dana. We appreciate
but thank
that.
you. Honestly, all BS aside, you're awesome always. And for thinking of us and sending us this gift, it's amazing. And we're really, really grateful. And, keep fucking being awesome.
Yeah, keep doing your awesome traveling. And, I love seeing pictures of people in merch. It's cool to see,
but people rocking our merch. I mean, anywhere you wear the merch, it makes me happy. Yeah. But come on.
Speaking of merch, we got hellerspace.com,
Yeah, we do.
which is TeePublic. We got cryptonautmerch.com, which is the oh boy, what's it called again? Cryptonautmerch.com. Crowdmade.
Oh God, see,
Yeah, I even forgot.
you turned to the wrong
I
dude
really
for that.
did. I'm like, Rob, where are our merch stores? Check out the merch there. The links are in the description of this podcast. And the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebook. The boys and I are out there on the social medias and whatnots. I stick to Instagram. I think that's where Rob and Chris Chris is on Facebook. And, you kind of sit to Instagram as well. So, follow us, and DMs are open and do all kinds of fun stuff. And there it is. Thank you all so very much for joining us. 2023, we're here, and we will be talking with you next week.
Next week?
Yes.
Part 2.
Come back for
Title to be determined.
Yeah, fuck
Sneaky Pete.
Sneak and peek, dude.
Sneaking and peeking.
Yes.
I might just do it now on principle.
Just sneak and peek.
It won't make any fucking sense.
No, it's okay. Hey, you know what? This is our show. We can do what we want.
Literally.
Yeah.
We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Exactly.
If I want to talk about Brazilian politics, God damn it, that's what's going to happen. And you have every right to not listen to that. We're all consenting adults except if you're kids, and then learn something about Brazil and enjoy aliens.
Exactly. And
so it's good too if you're a kid.
It's a win-win. You do with it what you want to do with it.
I didn't know any Brazilian presidents until literally this week.
The only thing I know about Brazil is from our friend Manuel.
Our dear friend, who I hope to get notes about this from.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we should totally hit him up and ask him. He's a world traveling tour.
If he wasn't on tour, then I would have.
He literally is a world traveling tour manager for a huge metal band.
Yeah.
So he's
for all I know, he's been there investigating it. He could have been like an eyewitness when he was a kid.
He's the guy had a day off. I went there to go check it out.
Yeah, no, I was one of the dudes that, chased it. Oh, fuck. All right. Interview.
Sweet. There it is.
Yeah, well, hey, Manuel.
Thank you all. We'll be talking to you soon.
Goodbye, friends.